Welcome to my channel, Mini Days. So today I'm going to be using Rust-Oleum Chalky Finish furniture paint and finishing wax. So I'm going to paint this sideboard I bought from a car boot sale for £10. First of all, we're going to take it outside and give it a good wash. As soon as I say outside, just like this. Well, if you stay on the hay bale and keep out of the way, yeah? Come on then. So we're outside now, and I'm just using a screwdriver to take off the hardware. So doors and handles basically. I'm leaving the hinges on because I'm fine with them being painted. Make sure you put the hardware somewhere safe. I like to use a little jar, and then you can put a lid on and it doesn't go everywhere. Sugar soap is essential really, I think, for when you're cleaning the inside of units and cleaning old woodwork down. You just mix it in with some water, and then I like to use a microfiber cloth to give the wood a really good wash. Now this is second hand, like I see, I don't know where it's been. I really want to give it a really good scrub over. Look at the mug. Now I'm also definitely cleaning the inside as well, because there's all sorts in here, and I'm going to paint the inside. So that's the dresser all washed. I've got the drawers drying up on the hay bale. Now I just need to wait for it to dry. So I'm hoping once I get the kids from school, one of them will help me lift it back into the house so I can paint it. Now that my dresser's been in the house a few hours, it's nice and dry. When you wash wood, it tends to raise the grain up, so I'm giving it a quick sand over. Now this is literally not speeded up. This is like the entire top sanded. So I'm spending probably less than 5 minutes sanding the entire piece. It does actually say on the tin no sand required, but obviously you need to make the surface smooth. So just wait a few minutes for this little bit dampness to dry off. And here we go with the paint. So Rust-Oleum Chalky Finish furniture paint. I'm using antique white colour. Now the back of the stone I think is the easiest and safest way to remove a tin lid. Not only is it safe, it doesn't ruin the top of the lid. And I always like to use an old wooden spoon to give it a mix. Now I mix paint regardless, but looking at this, it looked like it had a slightly oily top, so it really did look like it needed a good mix. I'm pretty sure if you didn't mix this, in fact you would definitely get a different result. So that might be where some people go wrong. Give it a really good mix round, and then I'm going to use this gorgeous brush. It's just called a wax stroke paint brush. I will leave it, well, I'll mention down below in the description where I got these things from. I've never used this before, but I'm hoping it's going to do the job. It feels quite big to be dipping in here, but it's really good because you get quite a bit of paint on in one go and it doesn't seem to float about. Now we always start at the back of a piece of furniture because, well, one, you don't want to forget about it, and two, you're not kind of leaning over parts you've done. So I think if you start with the back and sides and then work round and then do the top last. Now with this paint, it's really quite essential that you do it section at a time. This first coat's going on quite well because it's got quite a smooth surface to kind of go on to, so it is gliding on quite well. But it is quite thick, so I do feel like definitely stick to just doing a section at a time because it dries quite quickly. So this section's quite big, so I split it into two. Like I say, it dries quite quickly because it is water based. I don't know if it mentions on the tin it dries quite quickly, but you can tell when you're putting it on that it starts to drag, so you just need to just quickly do your section and then give it a quick look over, and you get like the last few strokes of the brush over the dark areas. Now it's going to be interesting to see what this brush is like going over the detailed areas. I'm using it as like a bit of a stipple brush. It seems to just be doing every area really well and fast. I'm well impressed. Usually I would use a roller for the large surfaces, but this brush is just, this is not speeded up. This is how quick I'm doing the top, literally. So long brush strokes across the top is probably the best way to do a large surface. So after the first coat, I just want to show you this. Look at how good this design is. It just stands on the side really nicely. So a little tip, or a big tip, wrap your paintbrush up with cling film. Even if you're just waiting for paint to dry, you can do a second coat. It dries really quick, it'll dry on the brush. So this is the first coat on. and that's Minnie asleep there. So it's looking quite grey, but it is a really dark piece of furniture. Now this is essential. You need to sand, or even just lightly sand with a sanding block between each coat, because it's never smooth. There's always bits that land on it. There might be hairs off your brush. So give it a good sand, well, just a light quick sand between each coat. So after I'd left the dresser for 4 hours to dry, which is how long I'm leaving it between each coat, I give it the second coat. Now this does feel a lot stiffer to put on. I think it's because you're not putting it on like a smooth surface, you're putting it on a matte surface, so it's a little bit trickier to put on. So just make sure you stick to doing a section at a time, and then you won't get the paint to like dragging. Now this is my third coat going on, which you can't really see very well here, but it did need this. And as you can see here, the bits of dust that come up, the bits of paint, you really need to give it a nice smooth over before you put the wax on. So now it's all nice and smooth, I'm going to go on it with the wax. Now I washed the paint obviously off this brush and dried it, and I'm just brushing on the wax. And then I'm just using an old tea towel to give it a good hard kind of rub. And you get a lovely, well, it's quite a matte shine, but it feels so nice. So once I've finished doing the whole dresser, all that's left to do is put the hardware on, and then I can decorate for Christmas. Christmas? Yeah? Christmas time. This is your second Christmas. Can you not remember last Christmas? Oh, you were just a baby, weren't you? So this is my dresser before, and this is my dresser afterwards. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.